What happens when a live television interview stops being about the guest and suddenly becomes about the host? That is exactly the question Good Morning Britain is being forced to answer right now, and the fallout is reaching all the way to the top of ITV. This week, a single morning segment has sparked one of the most talked-about controversies in British morning television in recent memory, and the man at the center of it all is Ed Balls. If you thought morning TV was just soft sofas and celebrity chats, think again, because what unfolded on that GMB sofa on Monday has rocked the show to its foundations. Good Morning Britain has never been a program that shies away from confrontation. Over the years, it has built its identity on sharp political interviews, heated debates, and moments that get people talking around the breakfast table. But what happened during the Monday, April 27th broadcast was something different entirely. A moment that didn't just make headlines, but raised serious questions about the future of one of its most high-profile presenters. Ed Balls, the 58-year-old former Labour shadow chancellor turned television personality, was co-hosting alongside Susanna Reid when Green Party leader Zack Polanski appeared as a guest. The interview was supposed to be a straightforward political sit-down ahead of the local elections, touching on Green Party policies, and reports from a Daily Mail suggesting Polanski had previously made claims about using hypnosis to enlarge women's breasts. Standard morning television fare, or so it seemed. What nobody in the studio apparently anticipated was that Polanski had absolutely no intention of playing by the usual rules. For those unfamiliar with the background, Ed Balls is not your typical television host. Before he became a familiar face on shows like Strictly Come Dancing and eventually landed his role at Good Morning Britain, he was a senior figure at the very heart of the Labour Party. He served as Shadow Chancellor of the Exchequer, was a key ally of Gordon Brown, and sat in Parliament for a decade before famously losing his seat in the 2015 general election. He is also, and this is the part that has now come roaring back into public discussion, married to Yvette Cooper, the current Labour Foreign Secretary, and one of the most senior figures in Keir Starmer's government. For years, this has been a background tension at GMB, quietly acknowledged but rarely detonated live on air. That all changed on Monday morning. Partway through the interview, Polanski stopped engaging with the line of questioning and turned his fire directly onto Balls himself. With a calm that only made the remark land harder, Polanski said, and these are his words, "Do you know what I'm enjoying? The fact that a Labour politician who is married to a senior Labour minister is allowed to ask questions of the leader of the Green Party." The studio atmosphere shifted in an instant. Ed Balls, visibly taken aback, fired back immediately. "Are you accusing me of being a Labour politician?" But the damage, or rather the disruption, had already been done. What followed was a rapidly escalating exchange in which Balls reminded Polanski that he had lost his seat in 2015 and had not been a Labour politician for a decade, while Polanski maintained that the proximity to power was far too close to be ignored. Polanski went further, accusing the segment of feeling like a setup, arguing that the Green Party had been denied the chance to talk about their actual local election plans, and declaring that people in this country feel political discourse has been completely eroded. Co-host Susanna Reid attempted to navigate the tension, but even she found herself drawn into the crossfire. The clip was shared widely within hours of broadcast. Social media responses were swift, divided, and fierce. Supporters of Polanski praised him for what many described as a rare moment of a politician refusing to be steamrolled by a format that, in their view, was stacked against him. One post that Polanski himself reshared described both Balls and Reid as coming across like classroom bullies, adding that Polanski had been the only adult in the room. Critics of Polanski, meanwhile, argued that he had deflected legitimate questions about his own record by attacking the messenger rather than answering the substance of the interview. But regardless of which side viewers took, almost everyone agreed on one thing. It made for extraordinary, uncomfortable, unmissable television. Now, just days after that broadcast, the story has taken an even more serious turn. According to insiders speaking to The Sun, ITV bosses are facing growing pressure to distance the show from Ed Balls altogether. A source described a situation bluntly, saying that it had become too easy for politicians to give the impression that Balls is biased because of who he is married to, and that Balls himself knows this, but lost his cool during the Polanski interview anyway. The insider added that there have been whispers behind the scenes about how the arrangement makes the program look, and that those whispers have only grown louder since Monday. Perhaps most tellingly, the source noted that this tension had been quietly circulating ever since Balls famously interviewed his own wife, Yvette Cooper, on the program, a moment that, at the time, was treated as a light-hearted curiosity, but now looks like an early warning sign of the structural problem the show is still wrestling with today. So what does all of this mean for the future of Good Morning Britain? The program has been through enormous upheaval in recent years, from the departure of Piers Morgan to ratings battles to the constant challenge of keeping its political credibility intact in an era where audiences are increasingly skeptical of mainstream media. The Polanski moment has crystallized a debate that has been simmering for some time. Can Good Morning Britain genuinely claim to be a neutral platform for political debate when one of its prominent hosts carries such an unmistakably political biography? ITV bosses are reportedly still backing Balls for now, with sources suggesting they hope the backlash calms down. But the pressure is real, and the conversation is not going away. Whether Ed Balls survives this storm with his GMB role intact remains to be seen. What is certain is that this was not just a heated interview. It was a live, on-air collision between old media conventions and a new political era where guests are no longer willing to stay in the lane assigned to them. That is where the story stands today. The clip is still circulating. The debate is still raging. And Good Morning Britain is once again at the center of a media storm that it will need to handle very carefully indeed. If you have a view on all of this, whether you think Ed Balls should stay or go, whether Zack Polanski was brave or evasive, or whether Good Morning Britain needs to rethink how it handles political interviews altogether, drop it in the comments below. We read every single one. If you found this video useful, hit the like button. It genuinely helps more people find the channel. And if you want to stay across all the latest Good Morning Britain news and morning TV drama as it unfolds, make sure you subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss an update.